like, okay, this isn't going to fit this model, and it would be aimed at me. And then over time being like, wait, is me being me, like, is this a problem? Because it shouldn't be. Like, I've like, it's the national I think the average size of a woman in the UK is a size 16. So if you're looking at sizes, there needs to be more representation of lots of different sizes in fashion for people, because there's something really beautiful about seeing diversity on the runway, diversity in campaigns, different sizes, ethnicities, abilities, and just seeing that is just, it's not just refreshing, but it's something that should be like this. It should have always been like this. And it's just seeing brands go down the runway in like New York Fashion Week and in other places, seeing diversity in the runway is always something where it's just like, that stands out and people want to see that. And it's something that I really hope will be here for a long time in the future.
I hope you're right. I mean, I have a 3-year-old daughter now, and I really worry about this stuff with her, because I remember how it felt growing up. And yeah, you hit puberty and and I was always what I thought was quite an average size. And I don't know, I think as you grow up and then you hit that point of puberty and you're maybe starting to feel a little bit self-conscious, and if everything that's thrown at you, everyone read Cosmopolitan when I was a teenager. I don't know if that's even still like a thing that kids would do with social media, but I remember flipping through those magazines and seeing all these perfect airbrush size 2 women, and it grates on you. And I don't think there was a lot of diversity in what I was seeing anyways when I was younger. So this is, well, almost 20 years ago now, I guess, since I sort of became a teenager. But I do think it's getting better. And I think people like yourself are really getting the message out. And also some of the bigger brands are starting to be better with it. I think in high fashion, I don't know if it'll ever take or what your thoughts are on that, but I do see some brands really pushing to be more inclusive and to show more diversity so that everybody can relate to it, because not everybody can relate to a blonde, tanned, size 2 runway model.
Yeah, and it's something where it's like, if you see a shoot of different people, everyone representing themselves and seeing a diverse group, then I think you just naturally go like, wow, look at all these beautiful people. Like, no one's going to be like, oh, what size of, you shouldn't think like what size and what age and what all these factors, because it's, at the end of the day, it's like there's so many beautiful people to represent, and there is beauty in lots of different ways. And I think it's so important for fashion and for lots of things in the creative industries to take that on board more so, and just every year seeing what can we do to make this more effective, and just just loads of different positive ways to just represent as many people as possible. Because it's just, especially seeing in like, there's a Vogue cover, I think it was last year, and it was one of those really, it was a big cover, so it's one where you fold out and it makes the whole image, and it was a row of amazing people, and just seeing that is like, that is amazing. And then it does really well, like people want to see that, so then it does even better for brands. And it's just, I feel like if there's more representation and more diversity, then everyone benefits from it.
It's interesting too that you can see this sort of across the board in different areas of media or fashion, or just, I guess, popular culture in general. I notice a lot with the bigger wedding blogs. So I do quite a lot of wedding photography as well. I tend to shoot weddings that are a little bit more non-traditional, so smaller weddings. I do a lot of elopements, a lot of sort of more adventurous outdoor weddings or alternative quirky venues rather than the big traditional ones. And a lot of my couples have expressed to me the fact that they don't see weddings like theirs being represented. Now, there are blogs that are specific to these more alternative types of wedding, and that's true. But if you look at the really, really big wedding blogs, the one that sticks out in my mind is Junebug Weddings, which is arguably the biggest wedding blog in the world. If you look at not just the types of weddings that are on there, but the couples that are on there, you will see a lot of couples that are sort of quite hipster, boho style. They're always very traditionally attractive, shall we say. Tall, thin, blonde women, and men with quite a hipster bearded look, but everybody sort of looks the same. And if you are not in the minority of the public that can relate to that or that feel that that represents themselves, you're basically not being represented at all. And I think this is a problem across the board. Obviously, your work looks at this in fashion, but I think this is prevalent in so many industries, and it's really disappointing that it's gone on for so long and is maybe only just starting to change now. But it's great that it is changing and that campaigns like yours are affecting that change and trying to promote the fact that everybody should be represented in popular culture, not just the very small minority that we have been told by society is the ideal.
Of course. And weddings are very personal things as well. There's like, they're a reflection on a couple's personality and their interests. And it's really important to have, like, you'd want to flick through a magazine and go, that's the wedding I want to have, not just like these all look the same. So it'd be better you want to have it different, especially because it is a very personal day for everyone involved, especially the bride and groom. So it's like, there needs to be, and not everyone gets married at a certain age group. There's children involved in a lot of weddings. They might have already had kids, so you have to look at ways in which you can be like family orientated, because it's not just two couples, not just like a couple being like very, I can see it now, like going down a chateau or something, and just like those kind of, where it's like you need to have it. Some people might want to get married in really gothic looking churches, or really like, or out in like an open space in a field, or just just changing it, very making it for absolutely everybody. Just as unique as the dresses are, there should be venues, and the models should be different as well, should be in lots of ways.
Yeah, and I think I hope that, again, this is going to get better and these kind of things are going to start to change. But I think it is really frustrating for a lot of people when they can't see themselves represented, whether it's in fashion, whether they're trying to plan a wedding and they can't see anybody who looks like them. Whatever it is, even, when you go shopping, there's certain shops that I know I'm not going to fit the clothes in because they're just not made for my body type. Mm-hmm. And things like that are really frustrating. And things should be, all of the display windows shouldn't all have the same tiny size of mannequins and things like that.
Definitely, because I feel like there was a brand that I used to shop at, and they'd have clothes that were small, medium, and large, and like small was tiny, and then like large was also tiny, and it was just like the thing of it being like, wait, what are the sizes here? Because it's a thing where it's like, usually you just go like, maybe just because it's the same, there's been so many people doing like experiments, going down the high street and buying jeans at the same size, and then they're all different in different shops, being like, some are really tight, some are really loose, some just don't fit, and it's like they're all a size 12 or they're all a size 14, and they're not, it's like, which measure is the true measure? It just doesn't feel like high street in particular as well. It's just, having to look at and be more, that's another thing as well, like when, just being like, size isn't everything, like wait for like comfort as well, because it's something where it's like, if sizes are so inaccurate in the high street, what size truly does fit. So it's like, not to be hung up if you don't fit in jeans in one shop and then you do in the other. It's more like, these sizes are these, isn't maybe, look at the sizes rather than your own body in situations like that, because it's known for being, it's like famous how inaccurate a lot of sizes are in the high street.
And so many people tie their worth, or at least some of how they feel about themselves, into that. And it's like, I can't fit this size now. Or maybe you've gone up to the biggest size in a shop and it's still not fitting right. And then it starts to be like, well, what's wrong with me? I need to lose some weight. I don't know why that's so ingrained in us, but I think it's really hard to break out of that thought pattern when that's been pushed at you for so long.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's a thing, it's like, if people can fit into a dress and they're like really happy that they can, and it's like, it's definitely something that's ingrained. And I think it's, it's more about like how you feel before you sort of try something on, and just being like, it's more important to just like, understand that if it doesn't fit, then it's not the end of the world. And I think it's, there's a lot to be said about just understanding that, it is just fabric, and it's not, there's so much more to life than just a little number on a label, because that's not why you're here. You're not there, like, go to the party. Like, it doesn't matter if, the dress that you're going to wear doesn't fit. Like, just go and live your life, because it's so important that you do that, because that's why we're all here. We're here to celebrate ourselves, and there is so much more to a person than just a number on a piece of clothes.
And I think it's I notice it a lot with the brand photography work that I do. Is I'll get people that will send a message and say, look, I really want some new brand photos done of my products or my services or my premises or whatever it is, but I don't particularly want to be in them. And then I'll start the conversation of, you know, the more that you show of your own face, like especially as a small business, people want to see you. It builds trust. People like to buy from a person. They like to feel like they're supporting small and local. And I think most people understand that now, but it's quite hard if you have these hang-ups, whether it's about what size you are or what your skin's looking like or whatever your hang-up is about yourself. It's hard for a lot of people to get past that and realize that that doesn't matter, because you're right, what matters is the amazing product they're making or their process or what they have to say. That's what's amazing about them. And sure, if you're happy with how you look, that's good. You should be confident, but that shouldn't be the most important thing. And for some reason, for so many of us, that's top of mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And it's a thing where it's like, you should be, there shouldn't be so much weight on there shouldn't be too much pressure on your worth down to garments. It should be what you bring to the table. And it is, at the end of the day, the most important thing is yourself. And once you know, just being totally comfortable in yourself. And it's like clothes come and go, things, you know, it's not all, especially with garments as well, like independent garment like companies as well, just making sure that it's all just, especially with representation as well, so having like plenty images of yourself on these platforms, but also like bringing in as many creatives and having people that, you know, just diverse groups of people representing the clothes as well.
So going back to your own experience with the modeling and being told you need to lose 4 inches off your waist if you want us to represent you, that whole thing, I think so how old were you when that happened?
22.
22.
Yeah.
For you at 22, I think if that would have been me at 22, I probably would have either gone home and felt awful about myself, or I would have said to them, okay, and done whatever I needed to do to try and get into that, which, as you say, probably would have been near impossible. But you kind of took that and went, this is ridiculous. Let's do something about this and let's stand up to this. So how did you have that perspective at that young age? How did you have that confidence and that sort of head on your shoulders? Where did that come from?
So it's definitely come from, because I've done performance as well and work in theatres, and because I did youth theatre and stuff at school, and I think a lot of it is just really, and I think it's just really, I've had like really positive and really good upbringing as well, so I understand that being like, never, if you want to do something, just keep going and just keep doing it, because that's the most important thing. So with that experience, when I went down south and that agency said that to me, I was like, right, this can't end at this, and I know not to. I feel like it's something where it's really important never to leave a situation in a bad note. So like, if it's something where you feel like, I don't know, if there's any situation where you're like, you'll always look back on that and be like, that was then, it's so much more important to face it, see where you can go with it, turn it into something positive, and then use it as a building block to go elsewhere in your journey, because that's the most important thing. So because of, it was actually when it was a few years before that, I was in a fashion show, and I was ready to be, it was like literally a full week of training, and we were all like getting ready, going up and down the runways and everything. And then a few days before the actual show, there was a rejig in who they needed in the show, and I was one of the models not included. So it was that feeling of being like, oh, I'm no longer in this show anymore, and just feeling really like down about it. And my mum said, she was like, well, we have tickets, we did buy tickets, and we think you'd be in the show, but we could just go anyway and just see the fashion show. And then at first I was very like, no, I don't want to go to it, because like people, like, you know, it'll just be like, it will be the show that I'll see the clothes I should have been wearing and all that. And then eventually I agreed, and I was like, you know what, I actually think it'd be really beneficial to go to these shows and go to the show. So me and mum went to the show and saw the fashion show, and that, I feel like that moment for me was a huge step in my learning and how I deal with situations if it comes to things like rejection in the creative industries, because it's something where it's like, nothing's ever as bad as you make it out to be when it comes to things like rejection in creative industries, because there's always a way around it where you can totally make it benefit yourself and your progress. So because of that show and being like, I'm going to go and see it